Can love exist without attachment? We all long for love. Not just romance, but that deeper, more enduring connection, the kind that affirms our existence, that makes the world feel less cold and more meaningful. We search for it in relationships, in family, in friendships, in fleeting moments of understanding. But what if the purest form of love is the one that lets go? This idea sounds strange, even impossible. How can we love without wanting to keep someone close? Without holding on? Yet many spiritual traditions, Buddhism, certain schools of Hinduism, even mystic strands of Christianity and Sufism, speak of love not as attachment, but as presence. As an open hand, not a clenched fist. They teach us that love should be given freely, without need, without control, without demand. Not as a trade, I give you this, you give me that, but as a gift. A gift without strings, without guarantees, without the urge to possess. In this view, the more we try to hold on to love, the more it slips away. Like water clenched in a fist, attachment turns what could be flowing and free into something suffocating. But is this realistic? Is it even human? We are creatures of need and memory. We grow attached. We remember birthdays, keep old photos, replay conversations, and miss people when they leave. Can we really love fully without fearing loss? Without wanting the other person to stay? Or is that fear part of what makes love feel real in the first place? Attachment may not be the enemy, it might be the price of connection. The ache of love is often inextricable from its beauty. To love someone deeply is to risk losing them. And that risk is terrifying. But maybe, just maybe, that fear is what invites us to love more bravely. Because if we knew nothing could ever be lost, would love still matter? Or is its fragility part of its truth? When we try to control love, when we grip it too tightly, we often distort it. We mistake love for ownership. We confuse affection with possession. We build cages and call them safety. But true love is not a cage. It's a window. It opens. It is free. To love without attachment is not to love less. It's to love more honestly. It's to let the other be fully themselves, without bending them to fit our fear. It is to say, I choose you, but I do not own you. I cherish you, but I do not need to keep you to feel whole. I love you, and that love is not about my survival. And perhaps that's the scariest kind of love, the kind that does not anchor us, but releases us. Not the kind that says, you complete me, but you are complete already, and I love you for it. Still, there's something haunting beneath all this. If love without attachment is possible, if letting go is the highest form of connection, then what does that say about loss itself? We speak of letting go in theory, but what happens when we are truly forced to let go? What happens when someone we love dies? What happens when we die? Is death the ultimate letting go? Is it the final lesson in non-attachment? Or is it the thing that makes all our attachments feel unbearably, achingly precious? And so, behind all this talk of love and release, behind every act of letting go, lies the question we all avoid. What happens when we lose everything? What happens when we die? What makes a relationship real? We cross paths with countless people in our lives. Faces blur in crowds, names are forgotten. But every now and then, someone stays. Someone leaves an imprint, subtle or seismic. They move something inside us. What makes those particular connections feel real, while others fade like half-remembered dreams? Is it love? Is it recognition? Is it something ancient, some hidden chord that resonates? Or do we only feel something's real when it breaks through the noise? A real relationship is more than time spent together. It's presence. It's vulnerability. It's the experience of being seen, truly seen, without shrinking. It's when your guard drops without fear. When laughter feels like healing and silence feels like trust. But the human mind is not an objective witness. It remembers emotionally, not factually. Sometimes, we believe in a connection that never existed outside our perception. Other times, we overlook the ones that shaped us deeply just because they ended too soon. We project. We idealize. We fill in blanks with stories. And sometimes, those stories become more real than the facts. So what makes a relationship authentic? Is it mutual growth? Is it being fully present for each other? Or is it simply the impact left behind, something that awakens us, whether or not it was ever mutual? Some relationships last decades but feel hollow. Others begin with a glance, a word, a shared moment in time, and change everything. A conversation on a train. A stranger who saw you cry. A fleeting gaze that made you feel known. Can a moment like that be more real than years spent in routine coexistence? And what about relationships that never even began? The ones we only imagined, longed for, or lost before they could take shape. A potential never realized. A feeling never voiced. If they changed us, are they any less real? We define real by what lasts. But maybe it should be by what transforms. And when these connections never form, when we reach but aren't met, speak but aren't heard, when the illusion of closeness is all we're left with, is that where loneliness truly begins? Is it the absence of people or the absence of being seen? Is loneliness part of being human? You can be surrounded by people and still feel utterly alone. A room full of laughter can sound distant. A touch can feel cold. Why does this happen? What is this feeling that quietly creeps in when no one is watching? Loneliness is not simply the absence of others. It's the absence of connection, of feeling seen, understood, and valued. It isn't cured by proximity or small talk. We can sit at a dinner table, nodding and smiling, while a quiet ache builds in our chest. Because true connection runs deeper than shared space, it requires shared presence. And yet, paradoxically, loneliness is one of the most universal human experiences. Nearly everyone feels it, yet few speak of it. From the moment we're born, we begin a journey of seeking connection to parents, friends, lovers, even strangers online. Still, many of us carry a sense of isolation. Why? Part of it may lie in our nature. Human consciousness is uniquely private. No matter how close we grow to another person, no one else can fully inhabit our mind. Our thoughts, memories, hopes, fears, they are filtered through language and behavior, but always remain uniquely our own. This barrier, this beautiful and tragic solitude, is at the heart of being human. So, is loneliness a defect in our design? A glitch we're meant to overcome with better communication, deeper relationships, or more social networks? Or is it something else? Something intrinsic? Perhaps loneliness is not a problem to be fixed, but a space to be understood. It may be the quiet room where we begin to listen to ourselves, where we notice what truly matters, where we come face to face with the fragile, infinite nature of our inner world. In this view, loneliness isn't just emptiness, it's awareness. It reveals the gap between what is and what we long for, between who we are and who we imagine ourselves to be. It stirs reflection, fuels creativity, and invites introspection. Great works of art, literature, and philosophy have often been born from solitude. In the stillness of disconnection, people have found purpose, beauty, and meaning. Maybe loneliness isn't just a wound, maybe it's a mirror. But let's not romanticize it either. Chronic loneliness can be painful, even deadly. It affects health, weakens the immune system, and increases the risk of depression and anxiety. We are social creatures, biologically wired to belong. Prolonged isolation can break us down. Yet even this points to something deeper. The need to be with others is not a weakness, it's a truth of our design. We are not meant to live in isolation, but perhaps we are meant to pass through it, to learn from it. Loneliness may be the shadow that teaches us the value of light. And if that light is found in connection, if our deepest hunger is to be truly known, then what does that mean for the lives we build? If loneliness is part of us, are we also made to be with others? Are we meant to be with others? From the moment we're born, we depend on others. A newborn can't survive alone. It needs warmth, milk, care, touch. And even as adults, our survival still hinges on others. Farmers grow our food. Builders create our shelter. Doctors heal us. But beyond survival, is there something deeper at play? Are we truly meant to be with others, or is that just how we've adapted? Biologically, humans are social animals. Our brains are wired for connection. Mirror neurons allow us to feel what others feel. Hormones like oxytocin and dopamine reward us for bonding. Evolution favored tribes. Those who cooperated, protected, and nurtured each other lived longer. But it's not just about protection. It's about meaning. Love, friendship, community. These are the things that often give our lives purpose. Emotionally, relationships shape us. A kind word can heal. A betrayal can break. And yet, solitude exists. Some monks isolate for years and claim to feel more whole. Writers, wanderers, hermits, many speak of clarity that comes only in silence. So maybe we aren't only made for others. Maybe we are made for balance. Connection when it heals. Solitude when it centers. Maybe both are essential, not just for survival, but for becoming fully human. If we are meant to be with others, what happens when we're not? Loneliness is more than an emotion. It's a public health crisis. Studies link it to heart disease, depression, even early death. But loneliness isn't cured by simply being around people. You can feel completely alone in a crowded room. Why? Because connection isn't about proximity, it's about presence. So then, is being with others a biological need like food and water? Or is it a choice, something we can transcend through self-sufficiency? And here's a deeper question. If we can choose solitude, can we also choose connection without possession? Can we be with someone without needing them to stay? Can love exist without attachment? This brings us to a paradox. The deepest connections often come with risk of loss, of pain, of change. But what if love doesn't mean owning someone? What if it's simply being with them fully without trying to keep them? Is that still love? Or something else entirely? We crave connection, yet fear dependence. We long for love, but resist attachment. So let's go deeper. Can you truly love someone without holding on? Can love exist without attachment? Is it truly love if you don't need the other person? Or is that, paradoxically, the purest kind of love? From the very beginning of human experience, love is often portrayed as a powerful force of desire and longing, a yearning to possess or be possessed, to hold close and never let go. We say, "I love you," with the silent, sometimes desperate hope that this love will tether us, bind us to another soul, guaranteeing presence, care, and security. But is that the essence of love? Or does true love transcend this yearning? When we speak of love without need or craving, we enter a territory that many spiritual traditions have walked before us. It is a radical form of love, one that relinquishes control, that lets the other person be free, even if that means the love itself might change, fade, or even end. To love without attachment is to love in full acceptance of impermanence, of the unpredictability of life, and of the autonomy of the other. This concept challenges the common cultural narrative that love is about possession, about fulfilling our own emotional voids. Instead, it points toward a love that is free, expansive, and unconditional. But is it even possible for us, as human beings, to love in such a way? Or is attachment an inescapable element of love, tied to our very nature as social, emotional creatures? Many spiritual teachings, ranging from the quiet wisdom of Buddhism to the rational discipline of Stoicism, suggest a form of love without clinging. They invite us to love fully, deeply, and without hesitation, but simultaneously to hold on lightly without grasping. This paradoxical idea is at the heart of what some call detached love or unconditional love. Buddhism, for example, teaches that attachment is the root of suffering. When we cling to people, to things, or to experiences, we create a prison for ourselves. We demand permanence in an impermanent world. We seek control in a reality defined by change. Yet the Buddha doesn't tell us to stop loving. Rather, he invites us to love with wisdom and compassion that embrace the flow of life without resistance. This teaching introduces the idea of metta, or loving kindness, a love that wishes for the happiness and well-being of others without demanding that they satisfy our own needs. It's a love that exists beyond the boundaries of possession and control. It's a love that respects freedom, autonomy, and the inherent dignity of the other. Similarly, Stoicism, the ancient Greek philosophy of inner peace and rational living, encourages us to distinguish between what is within our control and what is not. We cannot control others, their feelings, choices, or actions, but we can control our own responses. Stoic love, then, is about caring deeply, but without attachment to outcomes. We act virtuously and with kindness, yet we don't suffer when things don't turn out as we hope. Across these teachings lies a profound insight. Love without attachment is not a diminished or weaker love, but rather a stronger, more resilient, and freer kind of love. It frees us from the chains of fear, jealousy, and possessiveness. It liberates both the lover and the beloved. Yet the idea of loving without attachment remains difficult for many of us. We confuse attachment with love, believing that the intensity of desire or need is a measure of how deeply we care. But is that true? Or does such craving often mask insecurity, fear, or even control? Can we truly care without control? Can we give love freely, expecting nothing in return? Or is love always, somewhere, a little selfish? This question cuts to the heart of human relationships and psychology. The instinct to attach, to seek safety, validation, and connection, is deeply embedded in our biology. Attachment theory in psychology explains how early relationships with caregivers shape our patterns of intimacy and dependency throughout life. We often confuse needing another person with loving them, and we cling, sometimes desperately, because our survival, emotionally or physically, feels dependent on that connection. But if love is inherently tied to attachment, is there room for freedom? For trust that the other can be themselves without being controlled? For a love that can endure change, loss, or separation? The possibility exists that attachment is not the essence of love, but rather a byproduct of our vulnerabilities and fears. Loving without attachment means loving beyond these fears. It means allowing the other to be free, even if it means risking loss or heartbreak. It means valuing the beloved's well-being above our own needs. This idea opens a door to radical generosity, a love that is a gift, not a transaction. It is love as pure giving, without strings attached, without expectations, and without conditions. Such love asks, can I love you simply because you exist? Can I rejoice in your happiness even if it doesn't include me? And yet, is this love truly possible for ordinary humans? Or is it an ideal, a spiritual goal to strive for, rather than a state we can fully attain? Most relationships, inevitably, involve some measure of attachment. We seek security in love, hoping it will soothe loneliness, fear, and uncertainty. We want to be needed, to belong, and to have our love reciprocated. These desires are natural, and they shape much of human experience. But can we become aware of when attachment overshadows love? When control, fear, or neediness take over? Mindfulness and self-reflection can help us recognize these patterns and gradually loosen their grip. There is also the question of self-love and boundaries. Loving without attachment does not mean loving without care or without limits. It means honoring our own well-being and the well-being of the other, without losing ourselves in codependency or sacrificing our identity. Ultimately, the practice of loving without attachment is a lifelong journey. It requires courage to face uncertainty, to endure vulnerability, and to accept impermanence. It challenges us to trust the flow of life and to find peace not in possession, but in presence. We speak of letting go. But the final letting go is death. All attachments, all loves, all relationships eventually face the boundary of mortality. To love without attachment is also to prepare the heart for this ultimate truth, that nothing lasts forever, that separation is inevitable, and that love must be willing to exist even in absence. In this light, loving without attachment becomes not only a spiritual practice, but a profound preparation for life and death alike. It teaches us to cherish deeply, to hold lightly, and to release with grace. What is death? Death is the inevitable visitor that comes for every living being. It is the ultimate boundary, the closing of the final chapter. But what exactly is death? Is it simply an end, a cessation of existence? Or could it be a beginning of something entirely different, a transformation beyond our current understanding? Death has fascinated, terrified, and mystified humanity throughout history. We all know it will come, yet its true nature remains elusive, a mystery wrapped in the unknown. From a scientific standpoint, death marks the irreversible cessation of biological functions, the moment when the heart stops beating, the brain ceases activity, and the cells no longer sustain life. It is the biological finality that terminates the physical body. Yet, from a philosophical perspective, death challenges more than biology. It confronts the concept of selfhood. When we die, what happens to the I that has experienced consciousness, memories, identity? Does the self simply vanish like a flame blown out, or does it persist in some form? Spiritual traditions often propose that death is not an end, but a threshold, a gateway to another state of existence. Some speak of reincarnation, others of an eternal soul, some envisioning a cosmic return or a union with a greater whole. But despite millennia of belief and speculation, no one can say with certainty what death truly is beyond the physical end. How should we approach death? Is it a problem to solve, a calamity to avoid at all costs? Modern medicine strives tirelessly to delay it, often treating death as an enemy to defeat. Yet death is also a universal truth that no one escapes. Could fear of death stem from a lack of understanding or acceptance? Many psychological theories suggest that confronting death honestly can lead to a fuller appreciation of life itself. When we accept mortality, our values shift, the mundane loses power, and what truly matters gains clarity. On the other hand, denial or repression of death can generate anxiety, shaping behaviors driven by fear rather than meaning. Death forces us to ask profound questions. What is the meaning of life if it is finite? Does the finiteness of life give it urgency, beauty, or despair? Are we defined by our mortality, or can we transcend it in thought, legacy, or spirit? So, if death is such an undeniable certainty, what lies beyond? Is there an afterlife? A continuation of consciousness? Or is death simply a final, absolute silence? These questions lead us to the next segment. Is there life after death? What does it mean to truly cross over to the other side, and can we ever know for sure? Is there life after death? Since the dawn of human consciousness, we have been captivated and mystified by the mystery of death. From the elaborate tombs of ancient Egypt to the chilling testimonies of near-death experiences in modern hospitals, the question has haunted us. Is there life after death? What happens when our physical body ceases to function and the breath leaves our lungs? Does something endure? Or is death the absolute end? The universality of death compels us to explore this enigma from many angles: religious, philosophical, cultural, and scientific. These perspectives not only reveal our diverse beliefs, but also highlight our shared yearning for meaning and continuity beyond the ephemeral nature of life. Historical and religious perspectives. Across history, countless cultures have developed beliefs about what happens after death. Ancient Egyptians, for example, built monumental pyramids and filled tombs with treasures, spells, and figurines, all to prepare the soul for a complex journey through the afterlife. They believed in an eternal soul that would be judged and could achieve immortality in the field of reeds, a paradise mirroring the best aspects of earthly life. Similarly, Hinduism introduces the concept of samsara, the cyclical journey of birth, death, and rebirth reincarnation, driven by karma. The soul's ultimate goal is liberation moksha, freedom from this cycle through spiritual enlightenment. Buddhism echoes this but often emphasizes the impermanence of self and the dissolution of the ego, aiming for nirvana, a state beyond suffering and rebirth. In Abrahamic traditions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, there is a strong belief in an afterlife, often conceptualized as heaven and hell, places of reward or punishment based on earthly behavior. These religions emphasize the soul's immortality and a final judgment, which offers both hope and moral guidance. Near-death experiences and modern anecdotes. In the 20th and 21st centuries, with advances in medicine and resuscitation techniques, a new window into the mystery of death emerged. Near-death experiences (NDEs). People who have been declared clinically dead but revived often report vivid experiences, tunnels of light, feelings of peace, encounters with deceased loved ones, or a review of their life's deeds. While skeptics argue these experiences are hallucinations caused by oxygen deprivation or brain chemistry, many individuals are deeply transformed by them, gaining new perspectives on life and death. The ubiquity of similar themes across cultures suggests a shared neurological or spiritual phenomenon. Scientific perspectives. Science, grounded in empiricism, focuses on the measurable and testable. From a biological standpoint, death is defined by the irreversible cessation of brain function and the shutdown of vital systems. Consciousness, as far as science can prove, is a product of neural activity. When the brain dies, subjective experience ceases. But science struggles to address the metaphysical question of a soul or consciousness existing beyond the physical body. Quantum physics and some cutting-edge theories speculate about consciousness as a fundamental feature of the universe. But these ideas remain speculative and controversial. The limitations of science in this realm leave space for personal belief and mystery, reminding us of the boundary between knowledge and faith. Does life after death matter for how we live? If we believe in life after death, whether reincarnation, heaven, or spiritual continuation, our lives may be shaped by this belief. It can inspire moral behavior, provide comfort in the face of loss, and encourage hope for reunion with loved ones. However, what if there is nothing after death? Is that a nihilistic void stripping life of meaning? Not necessarily. Many philosophers and thinkers argue that the finiteness of life enhances its preciousness. Knowing that our time is limited can motivate us to live more fully, authentically, and with greater appreciation for the present moment. Existentialist thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus posited that life has no inherent meaning except what we create. This freedom can be daunting, but also empowering. The absence of an afterlife frees us from dogma and compels us to find purpose here and now. How does belief or doubt shape our relationship with death? Fear of death is one of humanity's deepest anxieties. Beliefs in an afterlife often serve as a psychological balm, easing dread and uncertainty. Conversely, accepting death as final can lead to existential courage, embracing life's fragility without illusions. Cultures and individuals vary widely in their approach. Some rituals honor ancestors and maintain a spiritual connection, fostering continuity. Others emphasize legacy through deeds, art, or memory. All reflect humanity's effort to confront mortality. Philosophical reflections. Philosophers have long wrestled with death's significance. Socrates famously viewed death as either a peaceful sleep or a passage to another existence, a reason not to fear it. The Stoics advocated acceptance of death as natural and inevitable, advising us to focus on virtue and wisdom. Eastern philosophies often emphasize detachment from the self, suggesting that clinging to the ego or fear of death creates suffering. Instead, understanding impermanence can liberate us. Perhaps the most profound takeaway is that pondering death invites us to reconsider life. Whether or not there is life after death, the question itself directs our attention to how we live now. Living deeply requires awareness of mortality. It calls us to cherish relationships, pursue meaning, and face fear with honesty. Death is not merely an end, but a mirror reflecting the value of existence. What does it mean to die? What does it truly mean to die? Is it a single moment, a last breath, a flat line, or something more drawn out? Could dying be a process rather than an event? Maybe it's not just the end of heartbeat and brainwaves, but the slow unraveling of identity, memory, and presence in the world. Some say we die twice, once when the body fails, and again when our name is spoken for the last time. So when does death really happen, and what exactly ends? From a biological standpoint, death is often marked by the cessation of vital signs: no pulse, no respiration, no neural activity. But even that isn't simple. Cells continue to function briefly after we die. Organs decay at different rates. The boundary between life and death is blurrier than we like to think. Psychologically, dying can begin long before the body stops. When memories fade due to dementia, when personality shifts from trauma, when we can no longer recognize the world or ourselves, some say that's a kind of dying too. In that sense, death isn't just physical. It's the loss of continuity, the disappearance of a narrative that once made us us. Culturally and socially, death stretches even further. A person might be gone, but their influence lingers in the lives they touched, the words they wrote, the love they left behind. Some people become more alive in death than they ever were in life. Others vanish quietly, as if they never existed. Is death, then, the end of the body, the self, or the story? Spiritually, the meaning of death varies across traditions. Some see it as a doorway to another realm, a soul shedding its form, continuing its journey. Others see it as liberation, a return to unity, or even a merging with the infinite. And for those with no spiritual frame, death might simply be the end, total and absolute. But even that view raises questions. Does finality make death frightening or sacred? So which part is the real death? The silence of the heart? The erasure of memory? The moment others stop mentioning your name? If identity is a construct built through time, experience, and relationship, is dying the slow deconstruction of that identity? And if so, is death only tragic? Or can it be profound? If we are not just bodies but meanings in motion, then the end of our story could matter just as much as its beginning. Maybe death doesn't just erase meaning. Maybe it reveals it. Knowing that we will die forces us to choose, to value, to prioritize. It demands that we live deliberately. And if we live on in others, in memories, in love, in ideas, perhaps death is less an ending and more a transformation. Not disappearance, but dispersal. Not silence, but echo. Let's lean deeper into that idea. If death ends life, can it also define it? Can the very fact that we die be what gives life its shape, urgency, and meaning? Can death be meaningful? We fear it. We avoid it. But maybe death is not the enemy, it's the frame around the painting. Just as silence shapes music and endings give stories their power, death might be what makes life matter at all. Across cultures and centuries, death has been seen not just as a biological event, but a spiritual and existential one. Many believe that without death, life would lose its shape, its urgency, its beauty, its purpose. Imagine a song that never ends or a sunset that never fades. Would it still move us? Probably not. In that sense, death gives life a boundary, and within that boundary, we're challenged to create something meaningful. There's also the way we face death. Some find meaning in accepting it with grace. Others discover it in resisting, fighting to live just a little longer, not out of fear, but out of love. Terminal patients who write, love, forgive. Elders who pass down wisdom just before they go. Soldiers, artists, parents, people who, knowing the end is near, choose to make it count. Their deaths aren't just endings, they're messages, gestures, legacies. Death also reshapes those left behind. Grief, while painful, often reorients our values. A loved one's death can wake us up, reminding us of what truly matters: connection, kindness, purpose. Funerals don't just honor the dead, they call the living to live better. So maybe the meaning of death isn't only in the dying, but in what it stirs, in how it echoes. If death gives life meaning, then perhaps our goal isn't to defeat it, but to understand it, and to live more fully because of it. A meaningful death isn't always grand or heroic. Sometimes it's quiet, a life completed, a goodbye spoken, a breath released with love. Sometimes it's tragic, but still transformative. A young life lost may spark a movement. A painful farewell might mend broken ties. Death, in this way, becomes a mirror, reflecting how we lived, how we loved, and what we leave behind. Could the awareness of death help us live with more urgency, gratitude, or courage? Might we take fewer things for granted, our mornings, our friendships, our fleeting joys? Would we waste less time? Or love more fiercely? In that sense, death isn't just the end of meaning. It can be the source of it. But what if we never had to die? What if science or technology could offer us forever? Would we want it? And if we lived forever, would anything still matter at all? Is it possible to live forever? Science is trying. Myths already have. From the fountain of youth to digital consciousness, humans have long dreamed of cheating death. But would it truly be a gift? Or a curse? Immortality has captured the human imagination for centuries. Ancient epics tell of gods who never age and mortals punished with endless life. Today, the pursuit is no longer just myth. Scientists are studying cellular regeneration, longevity genes, and even mapping the brain in hopes of uploading consciousness. From anti-aging biotech to cryonic preservation and artificial intelligence, we are inching closer to what was once considered fantasy. But imagine a life without end. No final chapter. No urgency. Would we treasure time the same way? Would love feel as deep, knowing we have forever? Part of what makes each sunrise matter is that there are only so many we get to see. Even in imagined futures where death is conquered, stories often show the cost: boredom, isolation, the fading of meaning. Living forever might not mean staying young or happy forever. It might mean watching everyone you love fade away, again and again. It might mean losing your sense of self over centuries. After all, who would you be after 1,000 years? Would you still be you? If death were no longer inevitable, would society evolve or stagnate? Would power concentrate in the hands of the undying? Would we stop reproducing to make room for eternal beings? Or would life become repetitive, a looping cycle of experiences dulled by familiarity? And what about our emotions? Much of what we feel is shaped by time. We say life is short and act accordingly. We choose, we prioritize, we let go. Without that boundary, would we still risk, still hope, still love as fiercely? Perhaps mortality isn't a flaw to be fixed, but a feature that gives life shape. Maybe it's precisely because we end that anything can truly begin. Impermanence may be the canvas on which beauty is painted. The ticking clock urges us to live, not just exist. Take a moment to reflect on this. Is it truly immortality we want, or just more time with the ones we love? Are we afraid of death itself, or of not having lived enough? Sometimes, the questions don't need answers. Sometimes, just asking them helps us see more clearly. And now, let go of the day. Let your thoughts drift. You are part of something ancient and vast. And in this moment, you are safe. You are home.